Hello, this is the Scarlet and Rage podcast. I am Michael, the voice of reason. My co host, Jay, the voice of rage. He is not going to be with us tonight. I guess he could be with us for a few moments, but he's not going to be with us throughout the whole episode. So he had a little jujitsu injury today. He can tell you about that when he gets back. I don't know a whole lot about it other than I think he dislocated his kneecap. So pretty solid little injury going into jujitsu there. If you would hit that like and subscribe button for me. If you're watching, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We're getting very close to that 1,000 subscribers, which is a milestone marker. So help us get there if you would. My computer's going haywire on me here. Okay, I think it's squared away now. And also remember, we have the message board. I am going to put that in the chat here in just a moment. Those of you who are here watching, feel free to start interacting in the chat. It's just going to be me. So I would be glad to hopefully talk with some of you guys, whatever you got on your mind, even though we've got some things that we're going to discuss. We've got the message board. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that up, and I'll do that right now, actually. Free message board. Lots of topics going on: college sports, politics, religion, whatever you want to talk about. There's a place for it. thescarletandrage.com. I have got it in the chat. I'll display it here for a while. We invite you to go there, join the conversation, talk about whatever you want. I'm a moderator. Rage is a moderator. There's a couple other moderators, but we're not limiting what you can say, what you can talk about. You can talk about whatever you want to discuss. And there's all kinds of things going on there. And so anyhow, let's get into the episode tonight. Let's get into the content of what we're going to talk about. I see we got 4 of you logged on currently. I'm sure we will have some more coming on here soon. Monday night podcast, again, as opposed to the Sunday night. It's either Sunday night or Monday night, but we keep you updated in the community chat. So college football this week, plenty of good games to watch. I don't know, hopefully you guys watch several of them, but it's starting to look like, that the teams are starting to kind of form. The top 10, 15 teams are starting to kind of crystallize. And there's something that I'm beginning to notice. I don't know if you agree with me. You can let me know if you do. But I think the SEC, might be overrated again. Let me know what you think in the chat. But I think the SEC, I think they're getting a lot of respect because of the past. I'm not saying that they're a bad conference or they're not a good conference. Obviously, they are a good conference, but I don't think they have any really elite teams. That's not to say that Texas A&M, maybe Alabama, may not be able to make some noise in the playoffs, but I don't think Texas A&M has a tremendous defense. If Notre Dame can put 40 week 1 against Texas A&M's defense, I like Ohio State's chances against Texas A&M. You know my view if you've watched this show the last few weeks. I don't personally think Georgia is the real deal. I think they're a pretty good team, and that's about it. Alabama, also a good team. I would put Alabama and Texas A&M, the 2 teams probably in the SEC that have a chance to make some noise in the playoffs. They have more mediocre teams, I think, than the Big Ten. But I don't think that overall they are that much better than the Big Ten. And I think the top teams in the Big Ten are better than the top teams in the SEC. I don't think that's a hot take. Big Ten is national champion 2 years in a row. Big Ten arguably has had the best conference the last 2 years. So when are we going to start being treated like it? Hopefully this year will end with a 3rd Big Ten national champion in a row. And if we can get 3 in a row, do we finally start getting the respect that we deserve, as opposed to 6-2 teams in the Big Ten, like USC, struggling to get into the top 25. Washington struggling to get into the top 25. Michigan's getting a little respect. They won the national championship a couple of years ago, so they are back in the top 25. But we got these teams that are playing pretty good football that can barely get in the top 25. And you've got like 7, 8, 9 SEC teams in the top 25 all the time. So they're always losing to a top 25 team because they rank them all in the top 25. And so again, I'm tired of that. The Big Ten, I believe, is positioned to have success. The SEC is on one station now. Two networks, one owner, Disney, ESPN, and ABC. That's it. That's the only two places you see SEC football now is ABC, ESPN. CBS, no. NBC, no. Fox, no. Of course, they've never been on Fox. But the Big Ten is all over the place. Fox, NBC, CBS. And so, I think that the Big Ten has outwitted the SEC in that regard. The brand exposure is getting out there more. The SEC is very narrow just on ESPN and ABC. And I don't even get them anymore. I don't even get a lot of these SEC games anymore because I've got YouTube TV, and YouTube TV has canceled for the time being ESPN and ABC. It's a contract. My understanding is maybe it's a contract negotiation, and ESPN or Disney, the parent company, just wants too much. And so YouTube TV said, forget it. We are not going to do it. They are counting on the fact that they have got the NFL Sunday ticket and that's going to keep football fans locked in. Well, they're definitely going to lose football fans in the Southeast if they don't get something worked out. And I don't know, I don't get Monday Night Football tonight because it's on ABC. So they need to hopefully get that worked out. But yeah, that's 10 million TV sets or 10 million customers across the country now that don't even get SEC football. So if there's a positive to it, I guess that's a positive. That's less exposure that the conference is getting. And they made their bed being with ESPN, and it worked great for them for many years, but there has been a shift in the college football landscape, and the Big Ten playing the long game years ago, started by, I think it was Delaney, the former commissioner some years ago. He got this ball rolling in this direction, and it is paying off. And I think the Big Ten is I think the best teams are in the Big Ten this year. I really do. We'll see. We'll find out come playoff time, but I think the top teams are in the Big Ten. Let's go ahead and get into the game. No reason to delay it. I can't remember what Rage's prediction was on the game. I think my prediction was 30 to 10, something like that is what I predicted. So wasn't too far off. I know he was somewhere in there as well. So we were actually pretty close on our predictions last week. Let's start off with Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin, I believe, is becoming a Heisman candidate. Maybe some people think that's crazy. I don't think it's crazy at all. I think he's absolutely becoming a Heisman candidate. Had, this Buckeye offense opened things up earlier, then he probably would be a runaway Heisman candidate right now. But, Ryan Day had a plan. Ryan Day and Brian Hartline had a plan. They wanted to ease him in and get him comfortable. And I don't necessarily disagree with that plan. I am just saying that from a statistical standpoint, if they would have been more wide open earlier, he probably would be the runaway favorite for the Heisman right now. But I still think he's in the top 3. That's my opinion. We'll see what he does down the stretch, especially the Michigan game. That'll be a big, a big game for him. Maybe he could have a Heisman moment there. But Julian Sayin is legitimately turning into a amazing young quarterback. I saw something out of him this week that we haven't really seen yet. And that was a escapability that was truly impressive. We see the play he made on third down where he is getting rushed. He, maneuvers, escapes, takes off, runs, picks up the first down. Great play with his feet. Great play to get out of danger right there. I don't know. I mean, who do you compare Julian Sayin to? Who could Julian Saint's comparison be? Well, I've got one. And I don't think it's a crazy comparison. It is none other than, now this is a big comparison. I understand that. But I compare him potentially to like Joe Montana. That is somewhat what his style reminds me of. Joe Montana was not a guy that was going to, you weren't going to look at his stature and go, oh my gosh, he was 6'2", but at the time, 6'2" quarterbacks were not as common. They liked quarterbacks really 6'4" back in that day, but Montana was considered a little short at 6'2". Today, 6'2" is considered, yeah, you're great, you're good to go. That has kind of shifted in the game, but so he's a little shorter than Montana. He's 6'1", but Montana wasn't a big guy. He was 190 pounds or so. And I think that's about what Saint is. He's listed at 205 or 210, but coming out of Notre Dame, Joe Montana was kind of slight of stature for an NFL quarterback at 190 pounds, not a broad-shouldered guy, not a thick guy. And Julian Saint is much the same. And so I think there is, kind of some comparisons there. He's cool in the pocket. He's collected. He's cerebral. And he makes the plays. Well, let's look at some of the stats. He makes almost every play. He is leading the league in completion percentage, big time. And incidentally, there have been 3 other guys that have had over 80% completion percentage through this point in the season. Joe Burrow. Who was it? I think it was maybe Joe Burrow and Bo Nix, and there was somebody else. I cannot remember the third. But 2 of those 3, obviously not Bo Nix, but Burrow and whoever the other one was, both won national championships that year. And so that doesn't mean anything, but he is joining a very elite group who is throwing for over 80% at this point in the season. And his team certainly has a chance to win a national championship. He also has a chance to win the Heisman as a freshman, not a true freshman, but as a redshirt freshman. And he would join at least, there may be more than this, but at least Jameis Winston and Johnny Manziel, who both won the Heisman as a redshirt freshman. Jameis Winston, of course, also won the national championship that year as a redshirt freshman. So Julian Saint is absolutely killing it. The passing game is starting to look effortless. It's starting to look like, why aren't we doing it a little bit more even? When we do throw the ball, when we do open it up, the offense is looking unstoppable. We are starting to look like, we stop ourselves. I think Brian Hartline is still figuring out what he wants to do. Ryan Day even kind of said as much after the game, that they're making some adjustments. And I think that they made some good adjustments against Penn State. I was a little frustrated with some of the things, but I mean, we're coming, on Sundays and Mondays to talk about this Buckeye team, and there's not a tremendous amount to complain about. There's always something to complain about. There's always something that needs to be better. No doubt about that. However, they're playing great football right now. And so before we get into that, let me get into Julian Saint for a minute. We'll get into the offense, and then we'll get into defense and anything else that may want to be discussed. But Julian Saint is 87% completion against base defenses this year. So they're just running a base defense. They're not doing anything exotic. They're not running blitzes. It's just a base type look. He is 87% against the base defense this year. Completion. Against the blitz, he is 88%. So, I have maintained that one thing I like about him is that he is a very cerebral quarterback, smart guy. I would venture to say high IQ guy. I've said that before, and he continues to show that. Against the blitz, 88% completion. So, I mean, you can't get a lot better than 87% against base defense, but against the blitz, he's a little better at 88%. Unbelievable. When you blitz great quarterbacks, you pay. And so far, through his first season, Julian Saint is showing that he is playing like a great quarterback. You blitz him and you will pay. You stay in base and you will pay. Against base defenses, he's averaging 12.4 yards an attempt. Against the blitz, he's averaging 16 yards an attempt. He is number 1 in the college football for a passer grade. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know exactly what goes into the passer grade. Sounds kind of generic, but I'm sure there's some kind of formula that they do. But he is number 1 in the passer grade. He is number 2 in yards per attempt. He is number 1 in completion percentage. And even though he started off slow this year, statistically, because they were being very conservative in many of those games, he still is 12th in college football in passing yards. Yes, 12th. There's only 11 other quarterbacks in the league that have thrown for more yards than him. And so Julian Sayin has absolutely been as good or better than advertised. Let's take a minute to go to the chat. Ghost of a Flea, welcome tonight. He says, I bet Rage is like Dwight Schrute at the dojo, assistant sensei. I don't know. You'll have to ask Rage. I know that he was getting after it today and dislocated his kneecap. He sent me a picture of it. It looked awful. Was in a lot of pain. I think he's probably still in a lot of pain tonight. Yeah. So, all right. So Julian's saying he's tearing it up. He's on fire. He is doing great. What issues did I have with the offense in this game? Well, the only issues I really have is that, you've got a couple of different approaches. You've got game management approach, and Ryan Day is taking that game management approach, or actually I would say load management approach. He's taking that as much as he can. He wants to keep the plays down. He wants to go slower. He wants less plays, less wear and tear. That's his philosophy. Agree with it, don't agree with it, whatever. That's what he's doing. Okay, fine. You can do that against, against most of the teams that you've played so far. You can do that against Grambling. You can do that against Minnesota. You can do that, in a lot of the games on the schedule. But against Penn State, I know they're not good this year. Their record's not good. But Penn State is still one of the top 15 or so most talented rosters in the country. So it's not like they don't have any talent out there. And Penn State has a propensity to play really well, or to play, near their best against Ohio State, because beating Ohio State at this point is a monumental thing for Penn State, because they don't ever beat Ohio State. My son was surprised, my 14-year-old son, he was surprised that, Franklin got fired. And I said, well, he said he won like 10 games every year. And I said, yeah, he did, but he never won the big ones. And I read off his record against the top 5 teams. And my son's response, who's 14, was, well, yeah, but Penn State doesn't ever win any of those games. Well, that's why James Franklin got fired, because they don't ever win any of those kind of games. And so my son's 14. And so in his entire life, he knows the Penn State program as, well, they beat all of the other teams in the Big Ten, but they don't beat Ohio State and Michigan. They're always going to lose a couple. They're always going to lose to the 2 best. And so that's why he's gone. Incidentally, Brian Hartline has interviewed with Penn State. He is, according to reports, I don't know how much to make of these reports, but according to reports, he is, had a great interview, and his name is in the hat. Maybe it's part. He's being considered. We'll see as this develops how much we really have to worry about this. Certainly, it's possible they could take a gamble on a guy who has never been a head coach before, like Brian Hartline. But I don't know. You're at this point, I know nothing. You likely know nothing. I would say at this point, probably very few people outside of the very inner circle of Penn State really have any idea what direction they're leaning or how impressed they really were with Brian Hartline. But what's being reported in a few, by a few sources is that he knocked it out of the park. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. I am not overly worried about that at this point. He's going to be gone at some point, folks. He's not staying around here forever. He wants to be a head coach at this point. His ambitions have changed. He's not happy just to be an assistant forever. He wants his chance to be the head guy. So he's going to be going somewhere. Is it going to be next year? Is it going to be the year after? Time will tell, but he's going somewhere soon. Penn State would obviously be a great landing spot. It would be an amazing first job for him. But back to what I was saying a minute ago. You've got games that you can, do this load management because you're looking at the whole season. And then you've got matchup games that you've just got to win the game. You've got to put in a game plan to win the game. If you've got to speed it up and you run 68 or 69 plays instead of, the 60 or 62 or whatever that Ryan Day's wanting to run, so be it. You have to win the game. And so I think they're being a little stuck on this idea of only wanting 61 or 2 plays or whatever it is that they're trying to keep it at, low 60s in the plays. Ryan Day can get a little bit stubborn on some of these philosophies that he has. I think that they could have picked it up earlier in this game. In the first half, you've got a 2-minute drill. We got a chance to run the 2-minute drill here. You've got a quarterback that completes over 80% of his passes. You've got 2 minutes left on the clock. It's 17-7. You go down and you score, and you are, with their defense and with Penn State playing their backup quarterback, who incidentally is a highly ranked kid out of the state of Ohio, but nevertheless, he is a first year. This is the first year he's gotten to start in the games. You got our defense against a backup quarterback, 24-7. Even you go down and get points and get a field goal, 20-7. You're starting to really distance yourself in this game. Instead, we run the ball. And we know what happened. It's a fumble, and Penn State has the ball. And all of a sudden, it's a game. Was I worried? No, I wasn't worried. But, my biggest question is, why are we not trying to go down and score? Why are we not running a 2-minute drill? Why are we not pressing it? You know why 2-minute drills are so hard to stop? Because teams determined they're going to throw the ball. And it's hard to stop teams throwing the ball time after time. But even more so than not running the 2-minute drill, they give Donaldson the ball. I don't know why Donaldson is getting really carries at this point. I know we've talked about, the running backs. We've talked about, Bo Jackson and Peoples and Isaiah West. And it's clear that, Bo Jackson and Isaiah West are the 2 best running backs on the team. Isaiah West got like 8 or 9 carries last week, and he got hardly anything this week. James Peoples I don't know why we're playing 4 running backs. All right. I mean, the offense by and large, we're going to get to that, looked pretty good, but I'm coming up with things to pick on right here. We don't run the 2-minute drill. We give the ball to Donaldson. I assume because we don't want to give it to a young guy. Well, how about you throw the ball? But be that as it may, if you're going to give it to a guy, give it to one of the guys that is one of your top 2 running backs. We give it to Donaldson. Donaldson fumbles. Donaldson is not a guy who just has a lot of potential. I mean, I'm glad he came. He's a Buckeye, so I'm rooting for him and hope he does well. But other people have said it, and I've started to watch and notice it. He's just not a guy that can get through narrow holes. He stays wide and he runs kind of high. That's not a good combination. And he's also not extremely explosive or extremely fast. He is a very mediocre running back. Bo Jackson is a good back. Isaiah West is looking like he could be a good back. Give those guys the ball. You got two of them. The load management's going to be fine. Between the two of them, they've only got about 90 carries this year. That is absolutely nothing. We're 8 games through the season, and both of these guys combined have about 90 carries. You know how many carries Quinshawn Judkins had his first couple of years at Ole Miss? I know he had around 300, 270, 280, something like that. Both of these guys, West and Jackson, have about 90. So we don't have to worry about load management on those two. Those two are the best running backs. Get them the ball. Get them the ball, going down the stretch, when you're going to run the ball. So that really is my gripe with the first half on offense. Looked a little cluttered at time. Ryan Day did address all the 12 and 13 personnel being 2 and 3 tight ends. If you're not familiar with that terminology, 12 and 13 personnel. And, he kind of indicated that maybe they're going to be going away from that some. I think, my personal opinion, Brandon Ennis, actually, I've been hard on Brandon Ennis. Rage has been hard on Brandon Ennis. He contributed against Penn State. He contributed this game. And so he showed us something, and if he's going to be in there, I hope he is going to contribute. But one thing that I think that may have contributed to this 12 and 13 personnel, 2 and 3 tight ends as much, and I don't have any inside information on this, I'm just coming up with my theories. I personally think that Max Clare has presented a little bit of a problem, because he is a All-American tight end who's come over, supposed to be a great, receiver, but evidently he's maybe just a mediocre blocker. And Kazmarek, they say, is a great blocker. And so they are in love with Kazmarek at the tight end position because of his blocking. So if you're going to get this All-American tight end any kind of touches or any kind of catches, what do you have to do? You got to run 2 or 3 tight ends. Because if you run 1 tight end, they want Kazmarek in there because he's the best blocker of the 2. So I think that they've been trying to figure out how to get Clare involved in the game. Maybe they're figuring out that if Claire's going to be involved in the game, he's going to have to block and be the solo tight end, because they want their slot guy, Brandon Ennis, in there, to soak up some of those catches when Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are not streaking down the field. When they're covered, he's going to be open. And, Max Clare, I like him. I think he's a good tight end. He hasn't shown big play capability, really. And so, you got to go with the guys that are going to, move the ball and move the chains the best. And maybe Brandon Ennis is that. Hopefully, I'd love to see Max Clare in there if he can block appropriately. But I am going to be kind of glad if we start to see less of this 2 and 3 tight end sets. And Ryan Day seems to indicate that may be the case. Second half offense came out. They opened it up. They threw the ball, attacked the ball downfield. Jeremiah Smith beat a double team at one point, a double team with a safety coming over the top. Julian Sayin put it right in there where it had to be. And, you've got the best 2 receivers in college football. So go after it, use them. Hartline did in the second half. It opened it up. The offense looked very good. I think Rage did a short post game. He was there at the game in Columbus. Buckeye fan 1870, stop giving CJ Donaldson carries outside of the goal line. Yeah. No reason to give him carries. He doesn't get skinny through a hole. He just runs through the hole like a block. Just as wide as he can. Whereas Bo Jackson, Isaiah West, good running backs, they have that ability to kind of boom, get skinny through a hole and get through a small crease. He just hasn't showed that he can do that. I don't probably think he can do that because he's an old college football player at this point. All right, defense. What's going on with the defense? Well, defense, you could criticize it a little bit in the first half. It looked a little bit shaky at times. We really only gave up 1 defensive touchdown. One. And the other one was from the fumble and the short field. And, they didn't hold it to a field goal. They did give up the touchdown. But, hey, you're going to give up some points now and then in college football. But second half, they came out. Matt Patricia has been great this year with second half adjustments, and he did it again. He adjusted, and they shut them down in the second half. Overall, defense had a pretty solid performance. We did have 7 missed tackles. I think Caleb Downs played one of his worst games. I don't want to I love Caleb Downs, and I don't want to just full-throatedly put him on blast because I didn't go back and evaluate every play that he had. But just from watching the game, I noticed, a couple of missed tackles out of Caleb Downs and being out of place a time or two that you don't usually see with him. And, from the eye test, it did not appear like one of his best games. But that's not something that concerns me because he is the best safety in college football. Arvell Reese continues to show that he is probably the best linebacker in college football. And, we've got the two best receivers in college football. So that is a pretty powerful tandem of defense and offense to have, literally the best players in college football. And so to sum that up, this team, I am starting to have significant hope. And I don't like to have too much hope at this point of the season because I don't want to be disappointed. But this team is starting to look like a team that absolutely can win the national championship. Not can win the national championship, but I believe a team that's favored to win the national championship. Of any team that could win the national championship, I will definitely, this is not, you that have watched this, that this podcast, we don't take homer takes. If we think there's problems or there's trouble, we say it. If we think that there's issues, we talk about it. We talked about it last year. We talked about it the year before last at times. And so, we don't just say Buckeyes are going to win the national championship every year, but they absolutely, I believe, have the best roster, the best team out there. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to be able to run a 4-game gauntlet and win the national championship, but it absolutely does mean, in my opinion, that they are primed and ready to do it and that they are the favorite from what I have seen around college football. I just don't see anybody better. All right. Let's see. Anybody out? Let's see. We got 8 or 9 of you bouncing in and out. Anybody got anything in the chat you want to discuss? Rage is not with me tonight, so this is going to be a shorter episode than normal. Usually we go about an hour. We've got half the amount of hosts, so we're probably going to go closer to the half-hour mark today, unless you guys got some things that you want to discuss, because I've been going on for a little while now. Got a shout out to Rage. Love the show. Please get better, Rage. Thank you. Appreciate the support. Also, super chats are back. I know everybody got used to those being gone, but they are back. And I am going to put the, let's see, I'm going to put the message board up here for just a moment. Let's see. Did that work? No, it doesn't seem to have worked. Let's see. There we go. There it is. There's the Scarlet and Rage message board. So if you would. All right. Well, it looks like Rage is potentially coming on. We'll wait on him for a minute then. See how he is doing. See what is happening. And have a few more minutes of discussion here. What do you think about all the openings in college football? I mean, when is the last time there's been so many big openings in college football. I mean, you've got Auburn that is coming open. You have got LSU that is open. You've got Penn State that's open. I think you've got Arkansas that's open. Speaking of Arkansas, they also put 40 points on Texas A&M. So Texas A&M, I do not think is by any means like a juggernaut team. They are definitely a good team, but Arkansas put 40 points on them. Notre Dame put 40 points on them. I mean, they're a team that's susceptible. They're a team that, that absolutely, has some significant weaknesses. And so, but Arkansas is coming open. I emailed it to you. Did you not get it? I sent it to you. Let's see, I sent you the link. Rage is messaging me here about, getting on the message or getting on the show tonight. Let me see. I sent him the link. Let me send it to him again. Maybe I sent it to the wrong email. All right, he should get it now. Just in case he doesn't, I'm gonna go ahead and text message him that link also. But yeah, a lot of jobs coming open in the college football landscape. And, as we were discussing earlier, Brian Hartline up for one of those jobs. I have mixed emotions about losing Brian Hartline. I don't want to lose Brian Hartline, but I know that it's going to happen. And, if Brian Hartline goes, does that mean that, football or, wide receivers are going to cease to come to Ohio State? I don't think so. I mean, I think that Brian Hartline has had an amazing run with wide receivers, a legendary run. But, prior to that, Zach Smith recruited pretty well at wide receiver. I mean, you look at guys that Zach Smith put in the league, and Zach Smith was recruiting, under a different time. There was no NIL. There wasn't NIL, of course, for part of Brian Hartline's time either. But Zach Smith was also recruiting under a different offense and a different coach in Urban Meyer, a coach that you did not get the opportunities at wide receiver the way that you have under the Ryan Day administration at Ohio State. And so I absolutely think that they can continue to recruit that position at a high level without Brian Hartline. Do I want to lose Brian Hartline? Of course not. Unless, he like totally tanked at offensive coordinator or something, then maybe I might be okay losing him. But no, I don't want to lose Brian Hartline, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Maybe we have him for another year. Maybe we have him for another 2 years, but eventually he's going to be gone, and we're going to have to look for that next, that next coach to be able to fill that wide receiver spot. The plus of that, if you want to look at the bright side, the plus of losing Brian Hartline would be that Ryan Day can get a bona fide head coach. A bona fide offensive coordinator. And maybe Hartline's going to end up doing a fantastic job. Let's see what Rage thinks about the job that he did the other night. He is here. Let's see if I can add him in. There he is. The man, the myth, and the legend. He's out of the hospital on crutches. How you doing tonight?
Pretty sore, man. Pretty sore. I don't know what's up with my camera though. Let me try adjusting it. Let's see here. Man, a lot of pain though, bro. A lot of pain. Like I'm having to keep it like straightened in like this brace, even though like nothing tore, but I guess they need to have the ligaments repaired. That's all I know.
So nothing tore?
No, nothing did tear, thankfully. Well, I mean, I need to get an MRI still, but From what I understand, they don't believe anything tore. I don't know what the hell is going on with this fucking camera, man.
Well, that's all right. Well, what are you looking at time wise? How long this injury is going to have you down?
I don't know. I need to meet with the orthopedic doctor next.
Gotcha.
So just fucking sucks, man. Just fucking sucks. That's really all I can say. I know I called you for a little bit earlier because I was so upset.
Well, I can empathize with you. I tore my shoulder in jiu-jitsu, 6 months ago or so. I don't guess it was that. Yeah, it was probably about 6 months ago or so. I tore my shoulder. And,
yeah, man. Like, what did you say? It's like we're getting older now, and you just can't do the same thing. Now, I don't know, man. Like that, I don't know. That I feel like this is something I would hurt myself at like mid-20s versus late 30s. I don't know, too. I don't know what my knee hit the ground really hard.
Yeah, so I mean, this may have been a bit of a freak accident, but yeah, I mean, that's what I experienced. Is once I got in my upper 30s, the injury started piling up, and it started being hard to stay healthy. And then I go back in, and I hurt myself again now in my 40s, and so it's I'm about to go back in the gym, Jay, and I'm going to take it easy. And I'm just gonna be an old man. I'm just gonna do old man jujitsu. I'm just gonna own it. I have to do old man jujitsu. See, here's the thing, Jay. I don't look that old. Yeah, I mean, I really, I mean, I'm not that old, but I go in the gym and 32, 33-year-old guys look at me and they think I'm like a few years older than them, like probably 35, 36, 37. They don't know I'm approaching my mid 40s, and they also have no idea what your body starts to feel like when you're approaching your mid 40s. And so, you get these guys wanting to go these death matches, and I just can't do it anymore. I'm just going to, I'm just going to tell them to hell with you. Like, if you want to do this, like, get away from me. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. I don't have, I don't have, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, we can have a nice round where both of us get work, or you can go on and you can go have a death match with somebody else.
Right.
But anyhow, what do you think? What do you think about Brian Hartline's? We're talking about him potentially, supposedly had a good interview with Penn State. What do you think about the evolution of the Brian Hartline offensive coordinator role this year so far?
Well, up until like this Penn State game, and I'm sorry my camera keeps going in and out. Obviously, I couldn't play around with technical difficulties beforehand. I might just stay off camera at this point, just not to throw anyone off. I mean, like, let's be honest, man, the play calling was pretty god awful outside of like the home games. It seems like, we had a good offensive game plan against Penn State, and applaud them. Had a good game plan against Minnesota, not so good against Texas. But I don't know. I guess it's still kind of wait and see a little bit, man. It's a mixed bag because, I got on the immediate post-game show inside the stadium. I'm like, this is the best the offense has looked all season. And, one of the key things I always ask myself, Michael, after every game, it's like, can this performance win a national championship? And offensively, I say yes. And I want to give a round of applause to Penn State, though, and Jim Knowles. I know that they're all upset over there, and rightfully so, but I really, really, really did appreciate that they did not back away from Ohio State. They didn't play soft. They didn't play scared. They went after Julian Sand. They pressed our receivers and were like, you know what? Let's see what you got. And we got them. But credit to them there, man. I can't believe I'm saying credit to Jim Knowles. I'm like, this is the way Penn State was calling defense is the way I kind of wanted Ohio State to call defense last year, but Penn State just doesn't have the secondary to run like aggressive defense. But, props to them there. But, our offense looked national championship, ready there. Julian Sand, man, I've been like, I can't say I've been critical of him. I've questioned him. I've questioned his arm strength. But Michael, he had 2 throws in that game, 50 yards in the air, and hit the guy in stride. Now, the first throw to Carnell was underthrown. I'm like,
yes, low underthrown. Yep.
Underthrown again. And then, the 2 throws later to Carnell and Jeremiah were absolutely in stride. Beautiful throws. He showed some escapability. Again, it was only 4 guys coming after him. I still need to see him escape more maybe against 5 and 6 man pressures. But that was great. The running game was solid. Not great, but it was solid. I mean, we had the best receiving core in the nation. I heard you mentioning we're having to play heavier sets because Max Clare is not a very good blocker. You need him on the field. That's a very interesting observation there. And I can't say you're wrong. Cannot say you're wrong there. Defensively, though, Michael, I will say we got exposed a little bit. We got exposed. And again, this is the type of offense that's going to give us fits because I know statistically, Michael, that this run defense is really good. But when you look at run defenses in college, the yards per game from a rushing attack are factored into, sacks are factored into the rushing. So if Ohio State gets like 3 or 4 sacks, the rushing stats are going to look really good. But if you just look at the running back yards per carry, this defense has struggled some this year. Like they were I will tell you this, Penn State was really getting after our defense. And then offensively, Penn State kind of went into a shell and literally they got away from what was working in the first half. Like where was the toss sweep in the second half, Michael? I don't remember. I don't think they did it. Like where were those jet sweeps to Nicholas Singleton? They went away from it. You know who's not going to go away from it?
Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan is going to be patient, and they're going to keep running that. So Penn State exposed us. Again, I don't know that this is fixable. I just don't know that we have the size on the defensive line, and I don't know that we really run like 5 and 6 man fronts like that with our line to, adjust to that. And then, the tackling was, I think it was solid for the most part, not great, solid. There are a couple plays. I know they don't go registered as like missed tackles per se, but I feel like we should have had guys in the backfield and they got away for some yards. I don't think those are going to go down as like missed tackles. And Penn State's receivers, they had some guys down the field open that the Penn State quarterback, his name escapes me now. I'm freaking high on freaking meds from earlier, but Gunkmeyer.
Yeah, Gunkmeyer.
Yeah, he missed 1 or 2 guys, and they were open, man. They were open. And I will say this, give Matt Patricia credit. He started attacking Penn State more in the second half, but Penn State also, they were not doing what worked for them in the first half. And Michael, along those lines for yards per carry for running backs, I was looking at some stats, and these are concerning. So first game of the year, I believe the Texas running backs average about 5 yards a carry.
Okay.
The Jonah Coleman ran for a little over 5 yards a carry. The Illinois running back, Aiden Lawtree, or whatever his name is, he ran for a little over 6 yards a carry. Again, he had only 8 carries, but teams have found some success from traditional run against our defense. And that's concerning because the team like Michigan, who gives us the biggest matchup problems in the world, they see this. And they are going to run the football, and they are not going to stop. They're not going to stop. So I don't know what the answer is. Like 340-pound defensive linemen don't grow on trees. I do feel like our run defense was better last year because you had Tyleek and Caden McDonald, and you can play them together. Like Caden McDonald, while he may be the best defensive tackle in the country, he's still the only guy we have that's over 330 pounds. And that's inexcusable for Ohio State. You need bigger players, and we don't have them. So we are making do with what we have. Our linebackers are still big, but if they're getting gobbled up by blocks, it's going to be hard for them to feast. So very concerning with the rush defense. I made a post on the message boards, and I think people are misunderstanding it because I said this run defense, specifically run defense, ain't all that. I'm not saying the defense. I think the defense overall is still great. Our pass defense is probably the best in the country. But again, a team like Michigan, it doesn't matter. And I saw another stat that, again, we've made mention of this on last week's show, but the offenses we have played this year, Michael, are just god-awful. They are god-awful. I mean, I would love to say we have the best defense in the country and one of the best of all time. But who have we played? Really, who have we actually fucking played to say, we have confidence in that? Again, it's kind of reverting to what we said preseason in that this offense can be unstoppable, and this defense is taking a step back.
Mm-hmm.
And that still could be the case here. The offenses seem to find its footing, whereas the defense is starting to show a little bit of chink in the armor.
Yep. Caden, the Diesel Freak, says he's got a few things. He sent an email asking about joining the show. We don't really have any way to do that tonight on the last minute. Send us another email and let us know kind of what you're wanting to do, and we'll take a look and see if we can, get you in here soon. Caden, the Diesel Freak, with Super Chat. Really appreciate that.
Oh man, okay. He just literally
go
repeated what I said.
Well, yeah, and I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. I agree with you completely. Rage agrees with you. I've talked about it last week. I think the schedule is not good, but here's the good news. We gotta just take care of business until we get to Ann Arbor. Against Ann Arbor, we're going to face a good battle-tested team. They're not a great team. They're not even close to a great team. But they're going to be a good team, and it's going to be in Ann Arbor, and it's a rivalry game. And for Ohio State, if Michigan played Georgia in Atlanta, no, it's probably not that. It's probably not the same type of game. But in Ann Arbor, late November, it's going to be a character building type of game for this Buckeye team. Hopefully they can go out and win. And then we've got what might be the second best team in the country in Indiana that we're going to go play in potentially in the Big Ten championship. And it's crazy for me to say that. I didn't think I would say that. Caden, again, once again, Caden, we really appreciate that 299.
Yeah, thank you for that super chat.
Send us another email and give us some heads up about kind of what you want to do. And we may be able to collaborate with you at some point here. At some point here soon. Send Ohio State to the Big 12 for crying out loud, because they're better than. Well, back to Indiana. They just beat Maryland is one of the best 4-loss teams in the country, and Maryland is not a bad football team. They're a team that is capable of winning 8 games. A few things got to go their way, and that maybe they haven't gone their way this year, but they're a team that's capable of winning 8 games or so. And Indiana throttled them, and Indiana is throttling everybody. They beat Oregon on their home field. Indiana legitimately take away, the bias of their Indiana. And I'm not going to say they're the number 2 team in the country, but Indiana can play with anybody from what I have seen thus far. And that's shocking, because last year, if you'd have said Indiana's going to play Alabama, and even though Alabama didn't even make the playoffs, I'd say, yeah, Alabama's probably going to win. You say Indiana's going to play Georgia, I'd say, yeah, Georgia's going to win. This year, you say Indiana's going to play Georgia, I'm saying this is a 50-50 game. Indiana could absolutely beat them. They are a good football team. And
yeah, they haven't been exposed yet either. And that's a little worrisome. We haven't really found I know what Ohio State should do, but whether they actually do it, or again, I don't want to really talk about Indiana like that. I know what Ohio State would do and should do in a hypothetical matchup, but let's understand something. We don't get the opportunity to play Indiana unless we beat Michigan. We lose to Michigan,
Yep.
We're not going to the Big Ten championship game. They will get in over us.
Yep.
Or Oregon. It gets into a tiebreaker, but I can absolutely guarantee you 100%. We lose to Michigan, we will not be in the Big Ten title game. That is that. Michael, here's something that was tweeted out along the lines of our schedule. And, this is very important, and they're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, everyone has been sucking off our defense. And, again, we have done that too. But as time has gone on, I've seen a little bit of problems.
Mm-hmm.
But Ohio State, this is a tweet. I don't know. Atlanta Crimson Nation 16. Ohio State has played the 79th ranked scoring offense, a historical black college, a group of 5 MAC team, the 99th ranked scoring offense, Minnesota, the 69th ranked scoring offense, and then the 126th ranked offense in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's pretty fucking pathetic, man. And that goes along to our schedule. It's just our defense is not getting the right looks. And even as Michigan, they're a matchup problem for us, but they are not going to give us the looks that we would play in the playoffs. They are a matchup problem for us, and they absolutely can win that game, but those are not offenses that somebody's going to run the playoffs.
I think that's why it's important to play to play Indiana, because we need to have to make some adjustments. We need to see an offense at a different level before we go into the playoffs. And so, to me, it's important to go play Indiana. Obviously, you want to win that game and win the Big Ten. But worst case scenario, even if you lost, now you got a chance to go in the playoffs, and you can make some adjustments against a really high level offense, which again, I can't believe that I'm saying that with Indiana, but they legitimately are. I mean, I know that they've had a few things go their way, but you score 30 points on the road in Eugene. You score 60 something points against Illinois. I know there were some turnovers and some things went wrong in that game. You score 55 points against Maryland. They're creating turnovers too. Like, so we have to give them some credit. It's not like, oh, well, these teams are just turning the ball over. No, Indiana's creating havoc. And so, you have to give them some credit for some of the things that they are doing. And I still have the Indiana brand bias. But my eyes, as I'm watching them, am like, wow, like they are a pretty good team. Like they are legitimately a top 5 team. I mean, are they 2? Are they 5? Are they 6? I don't know. I mean, there's somewhere in there. They're a legitimate. Let's be super safe with it. They're a legitimate top 10 team, no question. And I didn't really feel that way about them last year. Last year, I felt like, I don't know. But this year, I really do feel like they're a legitimate top 10 team. I think it's important that we get to go play them.
Well, we need to beat Michigan first. So, these next couple weeks, I feel like we're not going to be, obviously this is an Ohio State based show, but we're Big Ten too. And I guess we're going to have to talk about more around the country because Michael, man, the next couple weeks are just going to be a fucking joke. I know we play Purdue this week at West Lafayette. That could be a tiny bit weird because the weather there sucks, but we should still beat them by 3 or 4 touchdowns. Notre Dame scored like 50 fucking points on them. I understand it was at Notre Dame and Purdue just gave Michigan a decent game, but Michigan had some injuries. And I honestly just don't think Michigan is all that interested in playing them. Off topic a little bit, Michael, what really upset me about the game on Saturday had nothing to do with really the game at all. It was fucking Ticketmaster, man. Like everyone, there must have been something wrong with Ticketmaster because I bought my tickets like the morning of the game. But like, how you buy the tickets and it sends you to the link to have the barcode or whatever and move to your wallet. That link was not working. It was not working. And I was like, what the fuck? So I bought like another pair of tickets and that didn't work either. So then I got on the phone with Ticketmaster for like an hour. They actually fixed it. The second person fixed it, which was actually, no, that's a lie. The third person fixed it. Third person fixed it for me, was able to make it to the gate. But then like I had to transfer them over to like my wife's phone. That was kind of screwy because I didn't have internet so close to the stadium. And then they told me to move to some white tent outside, and some fucking old guy who works for Ohio State had the audacity and be like, oh, well, why are you coming over here now so close to the game? And, if you would have came earlier, you could have gotten help. And I'm like, dude, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, use some common sense. Like, I kind of had to like put this fucking old guy in his place. I was like, listen, dude, number one, I don't appreciate like being spoken to so pretentiously. Like, you need to watch yourself for one. Number two, how in the fuck would anyone know that this tent was here and what purpose it served? Like, how would anyone know? And then number three, you didn't even listen to why we're here. All you did was babble on that we had like about like whatever you wanted to fucking say without listening to us. And then my wife explained it and he did apologize. But this fucking stupid old fucking guy should be fired from his job. What just a fucking worthless piece of shit.
Yeah. Ticketmaster, I've had a couple of really challenging issues with them too, with I don't know, just the way they do it. I get so sick of codes and passwords and downloading this and everything on the phone. I really just wish that I could buy a ticket And, I know if you buy it the day of, it's nice to have the digital ticket, but I just like them sometimes to just send me the ticket. So I can just hand them the ticket and be done with it, because all the passwords, all the codes, all the everything, it gets a little bit much at times. We got James W saying, yes, our schedule's weak, but no one out there is that good. No one except maybe Texas A&M and the SEC, maybe Bama. No one anywhere else except IU, OSU. That's true. There's not a lot of good teams out there this year. Caden, the diesel freak, is he's not buying the Indiana hype, saying Indiana is overrated as hell. We'll find out. I mean, I don't know. I'm relatively impressed with. I'm pretty impressed with him, really. In fact,
hey, so before we get out of here, Michael, what are your? I mean, like tomorrow is like the first edition of the college football rankings, which, in my opinion, I think they are outside of the final rankings. These are the most important rankings because we are going to see what their metrics are.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a prediction on like the top 5 or 6 teams, like off the top of your head? I don't want to go through the top 12, but just like 5 or 6.
Yeah. I mean, I think, obviously you're going to have Ohio State. You're going to have Indiana. And I'm not necessarily saying in what order that you're going to have these teams, but I think you're going to have Ohio State. You're going to have Indiana. You're going to have. I think it's going to be pretty simple. I think the top 5 is going to be Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, probably Alabama, and either Georgia or Oregon. I think that's going to be your top 5. Personally, I have a little bit of a bias against Georgia. I don't think they're that good this year. I would probably put Oregon in that 5 spot, but the SEC, I was talking about that too, Jay. Like, when is the SEC going to stop having 12 teams in the top 25? Like, if the Big Ten can win 3 national championships in a row, can we stop having 11 and 12 SEC teams in the top 25?
Yeah, I mean, I have no doubt in my mind. I think overall the SEC is better than the Big Ten. The Big Ten is better at the top, but like the SEC is better everywhere else. I mean, again, the problem is, Michael, is Oklahoma right now is what, the 5th best team in the SEC, number 6. I don't know, 5th or I don't know what they are. But Michigan should have been beat worse than the final score, and that just is not a good look for us. It's just not.
No, it's not. But I mean, it is, Washington is Washington, is USC, these teams that have barely struggled to get into the top 25. Are they really, is USC, has Tennessee been that much better than USC all year? And Tennessee just dropped behind them. Has Tennessee been that much better than, Michigan? Is Vanderbilt, that much better than USC? I mean, I get it. The SEC's got a couple of more depth teams, but the amount of teams that they try and push into the top 25 is still insane to me at times. It's like they have a quota of about 8 or 9 at any given time. And when you start, here's the thing, Jay, if you put 10 teams in the top 25 to start the season out of the Big Ten, who the hell cares how good they are? Everybody's going to stay up higher because you're always getting beat by a top 25 team.
Yeah.
So it's this game that the SEC was able to play throughout the BCS era, and we still haven't completely gotten away from it.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree with James W on this. How is Tennessee still ranked? I don't know. They shouldn't be. They should have fallen out.
Yeah, they look like shit. I mean, well, they were like, I swear they probably should have blown out Oklahoma in the first half, and then they just did the typical Tennessee thing. And I don't know what it is about Tennessee, man. They are kind of like the equivalent of Penn State, man. They got talent, top 15 talent, but my God, they lose all the big games, all of them. They never, ever win. And I don't even think Oklahoma was even a big game, but it is a game they should have won. But they never beat Georgia. They never beat Alabama. Outside, I guess 2022 they beat them, but
Yeah, they beat them that one game.
fuck, man. Like they just I have to text my friend Tennessee Rex, but before we get out of here, I guess the top 3, in my opinion, can go a number of ways. We can't forget about Texas A&M, but I guess I'll put Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, A&M 3, Alabama 4, Georgia 5, and then I guess I would probably put Oregon 6. So then it's literally the top 6 is all SEC and Big Ten.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I know BYU is still undefeated, but they just have not beaten anyone. I don't think they have. I know they beat Utah, and it was a close game, but I don't know. I think Texas Tech is going to beat them decisively this weekend. Like they're going to – actually, it's at Texas Tech. They're going to get throttled, actually. They're
Texas Tech, best team they could buy. We'll see how they can do.
Yeah, so I don't have much else, Michael. Funny thing, did you ever see those Drew Aller texts that got uncovered because we were talking about Penn State? Did you ever see those?
No, what happened?
Apparently, like some girl posted text that Drew Aller was sending her or something, and he's like, "Hey, can you come suck me off or something?" And she posted it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it said like I don't know. It was just like right when he got. I'm looking at it right now. He's like, "What are you doing tomorrow night?" She's asking him, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, I practice till 5, then I'm free. Come through and suck me."
Wow. Yeah, these young guys need to like be coached on, how to be discreet with their other things. It's like Carson Beck got a bunch of stuff, a bunch of girls released stuff. He was a real dirty bird.
Did he really? I didn't see it.
Oh yeah, this was last year. Yeah, he was a real dirty bird. There was like a couple of girls that released things that he was sending to him, and he's
stupid bitches, man. Like
yeah.
fucking what the fuck, man? Just like keep that to yourselves. I would be sending they're probably getting naked pictures of those bitches. Like I would be posting that shit all around.
Yeah, well, yeah. Carson was he was active down there in Georgia. Okay.
I'm sure, man. They all are. So,
all right. Well, we're gonna get out of here. Get better. Hopefully, you'll be back next week from the beginning. And go Bucks. We will be doing some Big Ten and kind of college football at large type episodes because the Bucks don't have anybody. Buckeyes don't have anybody.
Shit the next
we'll be gearing up for that Michigan game, but until then, we'll be putting some other kind of content out there. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Help us get to 1,000. God bless. We will see you next week.